States.
All right, country singer Jason Aldean's latest music video, Try That in a Small Town, that's the song, has been causing controversy online after its release last Friday. Critics are saying the song promotes violence with lyrics about guns and threatening language. Sheryl Crow even tweeted about the song, saying, "I'm from a small town. Even people in small towns are sick of violence. There's nothing small town or American about promoting violence." So what reaction to the song? Is it painting all small towns with the same brush?
Can I give you a couple of lyrics just so we can understand a little bit more? Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag, and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take you long for you to find out. I recommend you don't try that in a small town. So there's that. The song was actually released in May. The uproar is happening now in July because the video was just released. The video takes place, most of it, in front of a courthouse in Tennessee. And it looks like it's shot at night and the thing is lit up and it's, I think, trying to evoke an image of law and order in America. And the small towns are the moral compass of America. And it feels to me, as the viewer, that that's trying to be the message. And then you start to peel away the layers. And that's a courthouse where there was a famous lynching of a black man in early 1920s. And then you have this imagery of riots and protests in cities and urban centers and, you know, showing people lighting the flag. And then you have these really nice images of white families playing in towns at the end of the video. It seems to me Jason is either really, 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 really dumb or he's really, 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 really smart. And when I say smart, I don't mean it in a nice way. He's denying everything that everyone's accusing him of. I never said anything about racism. I never said anything about lynchings. You people are saying that. I'm not saying that. And so if you watch the video, the image mastered up with the words, it seems very clear he's saying everything he's saying without saying a thing. Mm-hmm. And therefore, he's as smart as a fox, if you can. And I don't mean that in a nice way. It's very disturbing. Yeah. It's very disturbing.
It was very purgy, the music video. That was seemed like he was a country and western theme song for the Purge series. It was very dark imagery. It almost felt like it should be a death metal video, like the imagery that they were using. And I find it very strange that, I mean, he's from Macon, Georgia, not exactly a small town. And he didn't write any of the song. He's not credited as a songwriter, so he's really just parroting other people's words in this song and in this video. And I live in a small town. I 40 years from Toronto, but I live in a small town now. And I wouldn't pretend to speak for my neighbors as a small town resident, and he's not a small town resident, so maybe he shouldn't be speaking for these people.
Like what Sheryl Crow is pointing to, because there is much research to suggest that all the mass shootings, many of the mass shootings in the United States in particular, happen in small towns. Uvalde is a small town. That was a recent shooting in Texas and all the children were involved. So, you know, for people to be criticizing him for, they say, glorifying gun violence and basically saying, hey, we take care of ourselves in our small towns. Well, I mean, like, maybe that energy should be directed to taking care of safety and gun safety in small towns instead of like having a gun around.
I mean, yeah. So some of the lyrics that you're referring to is like, basically he says, like, if anyone came to my house and tried to take my grandpa's gun out of my hands, like, you better try that in my small town, right? It's very threatening. It's like, you know, very Americana. And to your point, like, I think some people are saying, well, he didn't write it. What does it matter? No. He chose to sing that song. He chose to put those words in his mouth. He also chose, and presumably would have been very involved with the shooting of the video. And that video, you've described it. You can Google it. I'm sure you will. Maybe I hope you won't. But the collection of footage there's some footage of the Toronto riots, like, which have nothing.
That was during
like,
the G7.
During the G7 summit. There's also other stuff. Like, right?
There's also footage from Germany, and not all of it was footage of protests, or some of it was footage of celebrations. So that is actually using video out of context and putting a different spin on it and trying to suggest something else, which is the definition of propaganda, by the way.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm glad that Sheryl Crow has spoken out about small towns, because I think if I were from a small town, and even from a Canadian small town, like, I would be outraged at this idea that he's painting about what small town life looks like. I have friends, and I have friends who are from diverse backgrounds, who've come from small towns. I have one who was born and raised, she's South Asian, in a small town in Ontario, and she has like memories of the most idyllic, non-racist, her perspective was like there was no racism that she experienced directly and her family did. So she has a great story. And I also have another friend who's Black who grew up in Saskatchewan, and she said she experienced more racism actually coming to a bigger city than a small town. And I think also of the story of Gander, Newfoundland, and what the people of that, there's 14,000 people around, people from Gander, Newfoundland. And we all remember the story, It's Come From Away, it's become a big musical of what that city, what that small town did in terms of opening up their doors to people during 9/11, of all kinds of backgrounds, going all kinds of places in the world. And that's the energy that hopefully people from small town will take, and not from this song.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Also, not everyone from small towns get along with each other.
Yeah.
There are generations-long farmer feuds going on in small towns. The Murphys and the Smiths still won't go to the same barn dance.
Hey there, what did you think? Drop your comments below and join the conversation. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can find more on everything from food and fashion to pop culture and current events. See you soon.